Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my morning musings. Hey, before I get into our study of Thessalonians, I want to make the announcement. Preterist Pilgrim Weekend 2015 will be here in Ardmore, July 16th through the 18th, Ardmore Convention Center. I've already had a lot of inquiries from different people about, hey, are you going to have your Predators Pilgrim Weekend? Well, we absolutely are. Our theme this year is dispensationalism, dangerous or divine. I don't have to tell you, the majority of evangelical Christianity today is dispensational. We're going to be looking at topics such as the 4 blood moons. We're going to be looking at the rapture. We're going to be looking at Daniel's 70 weeks. We're going to be looking at the gap theory. We're even going to be looking at the history of Zionism and dispensationalism. This will be an amazing study. So make your plans to be with us. July 16th through the 18th, Ardmore, Oklahoma. We'll be posting more information about this very, very soon. We're trying to get everything completely and totally finalized, make sure everything's as it needs to be. So make your plans to be with us. This is going to be really, really great. Okay, we are looking at both epistles to the Thessalonians. Paul had established this church. We see that in Acts chapter 17. And immediately after the establishment of that church, persecution instigated by the Jews sprung up. Now, what I want to do with chapter 1, and the appeal was initially that I focus on 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, but it's not appropriate to just jump into chapter 4 without looking at the previous context. Chapter 4 is not an isolated discussion of the coming of the Lord. Paul has discussed the coming of the Lord from the first chapter all the way through 2 Thessalonians. And we need to look at that broader context. Do you know one of the most amazing things to me, and I point this out extensively in my book, We Shall Meet Him in the Air, The Wedding of the King of Kings, I document the incredible reliance of Paul on the Olivet Discourse. That is, Matthew 24, Matthew 25. Now, in the book, I document, I think it's something like 22 or 23 direct parallels between Matthew 24 and Matthew 24 and 25 in Thessalonians. That's incredible. Okay, let me point one of those parallels out that I have to tell you. You don't find this anywhere else in the literature that I have found. There is an alliterative pattern in Matthew 24, verses 4 to 34, the so-called first section that everyone admits refers to AD 70, refers to the events leading up to AD 70. That pattern is preaching, persecution, power, and parousia. Okay? Preaching, persecution, power, parousia. What do I mean by that? Jesus told his apostles in response to their question about when he was coming, this gospel must be preached into all the world as a witness to the nations, then comes the end. But he warned them, they shall bring you before kings and before councils and before their synagogues. You will be persecuted. You will be hated. Persecution. But he told them, Mark 13, 8 and 9 in the parallel passages, when they bring you before these councils and kings and governors, give no thought to what you shall say, for it shall be given to you in that hour what you shall say, and they will not be able to answer the wisdom that you are given. That's the power. And then the parousia. Matthew 24, 29 and following. Now here's the incredible thing. This pattern of preaching, persecution, power, and parousia is found in the section that virtually everyone, except our dispensational friends, but in the amillennial, postmillennial world, virtually everyone admits this first section in which this pattern is found refers to the events leading up to the Lord's coming in AD 70. Okay, watch this. 1 Thessalonians chapter 1. Paul writes to the Thessalonians, and he says, "Our gospel did not come to you in word only, but also in power and in the Holy Spirit." Well, there's the power emphatically stated. Next verse. "You became followers of us and of the Lord, having received the word in much affliction." Greek word thalipsis, the very word Jesus used in Matthew 24 when he said, "You will be persecuted." Okay? "You became examples to all in Macedonia and Achaia who believe, for from you the word of the Lord is sounded forth." There's the preaching. Now watch. "You turned from idols to serve the living and true God, to wait for his Son from heaven, to whom he raised from the dead, even Jesus, who delivers us from the wrath to come." Now watch. Matthew 24, so-called first section, preaching, persecution, power, parousia. Paul, 1 Thessalonians chapter 1. "We preach the gospel with power to you," preaching. You received the gospel in much affliction," persecution. "We came to you in power," Holy Spirit. "And you turned from the idols to serve the true and the living God." Now, if the alliterative pattern in Matthew 24 refers to the coming of the Lord in AD 70, then why does not 1 Thessalonians chapter 1 refer to the coming of the Lord in AD 70, since every single element of Matthew 24, first section, AD 70, why does this coming of the Lord not refer to AD 70 as well? And by the way, Jesus in Matthew 24 said the great tribulation was coming. That generation, Paul wrote to the Thessalonians and says he's delivered us from the wrath that is coming. 5 points. 1 Thessalonians chapter 1 contains preaching, persecution, power, parousia. But in Matthew, preaching, persecution, power, parousia refers to AD 70. Like I said, I developed that and a whole lot more in this book, "We Shall Meet Him in the Air, the Wedding of the King of Kings." Go to my website, eschatology.org, bibleprophecy.com, order the book, and I'll refund your shipping. All right? Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. We'll see you on the flip side.